Your voice used to fill the house. Now some days it barely reaches a text message. You pour your heart into a voicemail. They reply with a thumbs up emoji. You think about something wise, something loving, something that could really help them. You share it. They nod politely. Then carry on as if you hadn't spoken at all. And the question that quietly stings is this: did I become background noise in my own family? If that sentence hits a nerve, stay here. Because in the next few minutes, you're going to walk through a story of a parent who felt invisible, who thought the only way to be respected was to do more, give more, be more available, and then discovered something shocking. The more she chased their attention, the less they actually respected her. But when she made 6 deep shifts inside herself, rooted in Eastern wisdom, Buddhist teachings, and simple practical actions, her world with her children changed. Not because they suddenly became perfect, but because she stopped living as a ghost in her own life. And that changed everything. Let me tell you about Eleanor. For most of her adult life, Eleanor was mom or grandma, never just Eleanor. Her calendar used to be a map of everyone else's needs: pickups, drop-offs, last-minute babysitting, listening to tearful late-night calls, making soup, driving to airports, fixing forms, giving advice. She wore the reliable one, like a quiet crown. If a grandchild needed comfort, it was her number they dialed. If someone lost a job, she knew how to help them breathe, how to talk them through. Her house was the safe place. Her voice was the background music of the family's life. But then, almost without her noticing exactly when the rhythm changed, her kids moved into their own busy universes. Shorter calls, more distracted voices, messages like, "Can't talk now, Mom. I'll call you later." Later rarely came. She'd suggest something about a career choice, about how to handle a child's tantrum, about finances. They'd say, "Yeah, that's a good point," and then ignore it completely. At gatherings, younger voices took over the room. New inside jokes, new stories, new group chats she wasn't in. She'd start a story, something she thought was meaningful. Halfway through, someone would check their phone. Someone else would interrupt. The conversation would drift away like smoke. No one was cruel. No one shouted at her. No one said, "You don't matter." But it felt like they had quietly moved her to the edge of the frame, a polite presence, nice to have, not essential. The real pain wasn't just that they didn't always listen, it was the feeling underneath. After everything I did, am I just an obligation now? One afternoon, Eleanor was on the phone with her daughter, Susan. Eleanor had saved a few stories, hoping to share them. A sweet moment she had with one of the grandkids, a memory that had surfaced while she was cleaning out an old drawer, a worry she'd been carrying in her chest. But Susan's voice was tight, rushed. "Hey, Mom, sorry I'm in the middle of something. Can we talk later? Love you." The call ended with a soft beep. The later never came. Eleanor stared at the silent screen. Her throat felt tight, her chest oddly hollow. She tried to tell herself it was nothing. Busy day, everyone's busy. But a quiet thought slid into her mind. If I stopped calling, would anyone notice, or would they just get used to it? That thought hurt, really hurt. So she did what most of us do. She tried harder. She sent more messages, more check-ins, more "how are you," more photos, more questions. If days went by without contact, she would nudge, "Just thinking of you. How's work? How are the kids doing?" Sometimes they responded, sometimes they didn't. Each unanswered message felt like a tiny confirmation of the story growing in her head. They don't care. You're not important. You're in the way. This is where Eastern wisdom enters the room, not as a philosophy class, but as a mirror. Because underneath her children's behavior, there was something deeper driving Eleanor's suffering. It wasn't just what they did. It was what her mind told her their behavior meant. Buddhist teachings often compare the mind to a restless monkey, jumping from branch to branch, grabbing what it likes, pushing away what it doesn't. Eleanor's monkey mind had found a favorite branch. I only have value if they show me I matter. Every time they didn't pick up, every time they forgot to call back, every time they brushed aside her advice. Her mind didn't just register the event. It wrote a story about who she was. You are no longer needed. You have been downgraded. You are past your expiry date. That narrative hurt more than the phone calls ever could. There's an old teaching in Buddhism. Your greatest enemy can't harm you as much as your own unguarded thoughts. Eleanor's thoughts were completely unguarded. She had never been taught to question them, to watch them, to notice that they were thoughts, not ultimate truth. Instead, she quietly agreed with them, and every agreement added weight. But something subtle began to shift. One evening, after another small rejection, a quick, distracted call that ended mid-sentence, she didn't turn on the TV to drown the feeling. She sat, in the quiet, with the ache. It was uncomfortable. Her chest felt heavy. Her eyes burned. But in that quiet, something almost like a whisper arose. What if I'm giving them too much power over my worth? The next day, scrolling half-heartedly on her tablet, a short talk caught her eye. It was about attachment, about how desperately seeking someone's approval often makes them respect you less, not more. One line hit her like a bell. The more you chase, the more they run. She paused the video, rewound that sentence, listened again. And in that moment, a door opened. She saw it, a pattern. How often she bent herself out of shape to stay useful. How often she jumped in to fix things, even before they asked. How her messages weren't always about checking in out of love, but about checking if she still mattered. Her love was real. Her devotion was real. But under all that, there was also fear. Fear of becoming unnecessary, fear of silence, fear of being forgotten. That day, she didn't blame her children. For the first time, she'd turned the light inward. Maybe she thought slowly, I am helping to create the very dynamic that hurts me. That realization stung. But it was also strangely empowering. Because if she had helped create this pattern, then she could help change it. This was shift one stop, basing your worth on their responses. Not stop loving them, not stop caring, but stop treating every call, every text, every reaction as a scorecard on your value as a human being. In Buddhist terms, Eleanor had been clinging to a fixed identity. I am the respected mother. I am the needed one. In Pali, there's a word, anatta non-self. It points to the idea that our identities are not fixed, solid things. They're changing fluid like clouds. The role of needed mother had been beautiful in one season, but the season had changed. Eleanor had been fighting reality, demanding that a spring identity stay alive in winter. That fight is what hurt. Recognizing this, she made a quiet decision. I can still love them deeply, but I will no longer beg for proof that I matter. The next time her son Mark called, he talked about a problem at work. In the past, she would have jumped in with strategies, contacts, long explanations, secretly hoping he would say, "You're right, Mom. You always know what to do." This time, she did something different. She listened, really listened. She let him talk. She didn't rush to fix. She allowed silence. She said things like, "That sounds really tough. How are you feeling about it? What do you think you'll do?" Mark talked longer than usual. At one point, he paused and said, "Do you have any ideas?" She smiled softly, unseen through the phone. She shared a thought or two, not as a command, not as the right answer, just as a possibility. When he didn't follow every suggestion, her mind tried to stir. See, he doesn't listen, but she caught that thought, labeled it story, let it pass. This was shift to love without clinging to a specific response. She began to see the difference between loving her children and needing them to constantly mirror back her importance. As she loosened her grip on their reactions, another truth surfaced. She had been waiting for them to fill her days. waiting for their calls to give shape to her hours, waiting for their crises to give her a role, waiting for their gratitude to give her a sense of accomplishment. Without meaning to, she had built her inner world entirely around other people. So when they inevitably turned more toward their own families, career struggles, her world started to feel empty, not because there was nothing left of her, but because she had forgotten who she was beyond helper and rescuer. One small afternoon, she walked past a flyer in the local library. Watercolor for beginners, Wednesday mornings. She slowed down. Her first instinct was to think, I'm too old to start something new. And Wednesdays, what if one of the kids needs me? Then she heard another voice, quieter but firm. They're not calling on Wednesdays now. What if you give yourself this one morning? She signed up. The first class. Her hands trembled a little as she picked up the brush. The paint didn't behave. The paper buckled, but something inside her softened. For 2 hours, no one needed her. No one interrupted. No one cut her off to take a work call. The only task was to notice how water met color, how light fell on a bowl of fruit, how her breath slowed when she focused on a single shade of blue. That evening when Susan called, she actually had an answer to, "What did you do today?" Other than, "Oh, nothing much. I went to a watercolor class." A pause. Surprise in Susan's voice. "Really, Mom, that's awesome. Send me a picture when you paint something." It was small, but it was new. Eleanor began to refill her own life. A book club on Saturdays, walks with an old friend after Sunday service, simple stretching in the morning sun, 10 minutes of just sitting quietly watching her thoughts show up and pass by instead of climbing inside every single one. This was shift 3 stop, sacrificing yourself in the name of love. Buddhist teachings speak of interdependence. We are all connected. Your well-being touches theirs. Theirs touches yours. But interdependence is not the same as self-erasure. When you abandon yourself over and over, you teach others without words that you are optional, that you can be postponed, that you will always bend. Eleanor started to see this. For years, she had quietly told her children, "My plans don't matter. My needs can wait. My body can be tired. I will say yes." They believed her, not because they were cruel, but because she never let them see a different truth. One afternoon, her son David called with a very familiar tone. "Mom, can you do me a favor? I'm stuck at work. Can you drive across town and pick up the dog from the vet? They're closing soon." Eleanor looked at her calendar. She had a medical appointment booked for the same time, one she'd already rescheduled once. Old habit rose up like a reflex. Say yes, rearrange everything, make it work. Her heart pounded, her throat tightened. But beneath the anxiety, there was a new clarity. If I cancel on myself again, I am telling myself, "You're not important," and they will keep believing that story. She took a breath. "I'm sorry, David. I have an appointment. I can't move. I won't make it in time." She waited for the explosion, the guilt trip, the disappointed sigh. But what she heard was, "Okay, Mom, I'll figure something out. Thanks anyway," just like that. The world didn't end. His love didn't disappear. The dog survived. This was shift 4, set boundaries that honor your time and energy, not as a weapon, not to punish, but as an expression of self-respect. In Buddhism, there is the idea of wise action, acting in ways that reduce suffering in the long run. Always saying yes created short-term peace, but long-term exhaustion and quiet resentment. Somewhere inside, Eleanor knew, "I don't want my love to be soaked in resentment. That's not the legacy I want to leave." So she practiced new sentences. "I can't do that today. That doesn't work for me. I love you, but I need to rest." Each time she said them, her heart pounded. Each time the panic lessened, just a little. Another place this showed up was in how she helped. For years, her help had a secret contract attached. "I'll fix this for you if you show me I'm needed, if you take my advice, if you say thank you in the right way." Of course, she never said that out loud. She barely admitted it to herself. So when one of her kids didn't react properly, she felt wounded, unseen, used. One day, Mark mentioned a home repair he was struggling with. In the past, she would have grabbed her keys, driven over, and taken charge. This time, she caught that impulse. "Do you want ideas?" she asked, "or just a vent?" He laughed. "A bit of both, maybe." She gave a few suggestions, then stepped back. She did not follow up with 5 texts. She did not ask, "Did you do what I said?" She did not sit by the phone waiting for praise. Later that week, he sent her a photo of the fixed problem. "Did it myself. Your tips helped." "Thanks, Mom." Simple, honest, no drama. She felt something she hadn't felt in a while: lightness. This was shift 5, give without ropes tied to the gift. Help because you choose to, not because you're terrified of losing your place. When you help from fear, it drains you. When you help from freedom, it nourishes you. Behind all these shifts, something even deeper was taking root. Eleanor started spending a few minutes each morning in quiet. At first, she just sat with a cup of tea, watching the light move across the room. Then gradually, she began to watch her thoughts. She noticed how quickly her mind jumped to, "They didn't answer. I must not matter. They didn't ask about my day. I guess I'm boring. They canceled our plans. I'm clearly not a priority." She began to respond differently, not by arguing, not by forcing positive thinking, just by noticing. There's that old story again. She would breathe in, breathe out, feel the weight of her body on the chair, feel the warmth in her hands. She began to taste something the Buddha spoke of often: impermanence. Everything changes. Children grow, roles shift, schedules fill, bodies age, relationships evolve. Trying to freeze life at the moment where everyone needed her the most was like trying to hold water in her bare hands. The tighter she gripped, the faster it slipped away. As she accepted change, not as a punishment, but as the nature of life, something unexpected appeared in its place. A quiet ground inside, not based on how often her phone lit up, not based on whether her advice was followed, not based on how loudly she was thanked. Simply, I exist. I am alive. I can breathe love, learn, enjoy, feel. I am more than the role I played for them. This was shift 6, build an inner refuge that no one can give you and no one can take away. Her watercolor mornings, her book club discussions, her gentle stretches, her moments of stillness, these weren't distractions from loneliness. They were roots. The more rooted she became in her own life, the more something very interesting happened. Her children started to look at her differently. They noticed she wasn't always immediately available. She sometimes said, "I have plans then." She shared small victories from her own world. "Mom, that painting is beautiful." "You're really keeping busy lately. What's that book you mentioned?" "It sounded interesting. You seem happier." They started to call not only when something went wrong, sometimes they called just to share a joke, or ask what she was working on, or send her a meme. No dramatic speech, no "we were wrong, we didn't value you enough" scene, just a gradual, steady shift. They began to see her again, not as the forever available fixer, but as a whole person. She didn't plan this outcome. She didn't manipulate them into it. It grew naturally out of the changes inside her. By no longer centering her existence around their attention, she became more interesting, more alive, more magnetic. Respect couldn't be begged, but it could be quietly embodied. Here's the twist most of us miss. All along, her children had their own stories too. Stories like, "I don't call because I'm so tired and I feel guilty every time I hear her voice. I don't want to disappoint her. I avoid asking for help because it always turns into a lecture. Mom always says yes. I forget she might be exhausted." They weren't villains. They were overwhelmed humans carrying their own burdens, their own illusions. When she changed the story she was living in, she gave them permission to change theirs too. No one needed to be the bad guy. No one needed to be the victim. Just people shifting, learning, adjusting. So where does this leave you? Maybe you recognize yourself in Eleanor? Maybe you feel that ache when your messages go unanswered. Maybe you catch yourself over-explaining, over-giving, over-fixing, hoping someone will finally turn around and say, "You are so important to me." Maybe you hear your own mind whispering cruel stories about what their behavior means about you. If so, pause here. Take a slow breath in. Let it out. You are not broken. You are not invisible. You are not used up. You are standing at the edge of a chapter, being quietly invited to step into a new one, not by forcing your children to change overnight, not by cutting them off in anger, not by collapsing into bitterness, but by shifting the ground you stand on. You can start small, right now, today. One step might be to notice your attachment. The next time they don't call back, instead of jumping straight to, "They don't care," just name the thought. "My mind is telling me a painful story." Place a hand on your heart. Remind yourself, "I am feeling hurt." That makes sense. But my worth is not on trial here. Another step might be to reclaim one tiny corner of your life. Sign up for a class. Join a group. Start a small creative project. Return to something you loved years ago, but abandoned when life got busy. Let your own life have color again. You are allowed to enjoy your days, even if your phone stays quiet for a while. Another step: experiment with a gentle boundary. Say no once where you would have automatically said yes. See what happens. Let the world prove to you that it doesn't end. You might be surprised how often people adjust. And perhaps most important, learn to sit with yourself, even if it's only for 5 minutes a day. Sit, breathe, watch your thoughts. Let them rise and fall like waves. Over time, you may discover what Eleanor did. Respect doesn't begin with other people treating you differently. It begins with you treating yourself differently. When you no longer abandon yourself, others slowly stop abandoning you. When you no longer make your entire value dependent on someone else's schedule, your presence becomes lighter, freer, easier to be around. When you no longer give out of fear, your love becomes clearer, cleaner, more powerful. And that energy is hard not to respect. So let me ask you, what is one small shift you can make today? Is it catching a painful thought before you believe it? Is it revisiting an old passion you've put on the shelf? Is it saying, "I can't this time," and then breathing through the discomfort? You don't need to change everything all at once. You just need to start honoring your own life the way you once honored everyone else's. If Eleanor's journey resonates with you, let it be a mirror, not a measure. Your story will look different. Your children are different. Your circumstances are unique, but the deeper truth is shared. You are allowed to grow even now. You are allowed to bloom even in this season. You are allowed to be more than the role you played. And as you quietly reclaim yourself, don't be surprised if one day a phone rings, not with a rushed request, but with a simple, gentle question. "Hey, what have you been up to?" That is not an accident. It is the echo of all the inner work you've done. If this touched something in you, let it linger a bit. And when you're ready, you can walk further down this path into how to speak, so your adult children actually hear you without feeling attacked. How to apologize without collapsing. How to listen without losing yourself. But that is a journey for another night.